One, two, three. Testing? Testing? Okay. You know, this whole sort of moral panic is just the sort of reason I hate talking to you people. That's right, you people. I'm a fucking rock star. And here you are talking down to me as if my game is the cause of your little tykes and their problems. Maybe if you were all better parents and teachers of a little larva, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And for the last time, any problems your kids had with wilderness are their fault, not mine. But, me being the head of PR over at Marginal, that's our company for those who just came here to get angry and lob accusations, told me I better come over here personally and take care of damage control, and that's what I'm gonna do. And I guess you can consider this a question and answer session, and I'm sure by the time we're done, you'll all be leaving happier and healthier, and we won't be having to have this conversation again. First off, Lizzie, you mind getting the projector? Yeah, the one that was supposed to be here when I got here. Yeah, that one. Okay, see, that's Wilderness. As you can see, that's the title screen, and which is what you're looking at. It isn't the warm and invite pastel barf on your Super Marios or your Pac-Mans. We use a lot of colors to convey the feeling and splendor of nature. You know, the same splendor that your kids will be seeing in Wilderness instead of going outside to view themselves. And if they happen to be outdoorsy little snots right now, they won't be by the end. Alright, so Wilderness is designed around the Amiga and DOS. Though we did build a Mac-compatible version after demand increased. See, your goal is to survive in Wilderness. Simple enough. A lot of pundits accused us of trying to bandwagon off the success of our other public edgy games. Similarly to how many publishers are bandwagoning off of Myst. Thing is, Wilderness is entirely its own beast. We don't have an end goal. Or, well, really any goal. The idea is to survive for as long as possible and then eventually die. Now, I hear some of you murmuring back there. I went into game design because I felt the world had become too soft, too malleable. When I was a kid, discipline was something to expect, not expect the absence of. This is the 90s, people, when we're here with the edgiest, most realistic games imaginable to help your little children and maybe even you yourselves wake up out of your comfortable stupor you've been building around yourself for the last half century. Okay, first round of questions. You there, Bolotai. Yeah, I worked with id, but I can't say we parted on the best of terms. They wanted to focus on their dungeon crawling property, something they're working out with Raven, I'm not sure. I don't know the details, but we here at Marginal want to focus on games with consequences. Well, actually, since we're all talking honest-like here, I hate the term video game. What I want to create are, what's the word, consequence simulators. See, my experiences at id gave me an appreciation with tight level design, though. And when we move on to demoing phases, I'm thinking all of you who've played games before will appreciate the smooth transitions Wilderness has to offer. No, I'm not expecting you to play a full game here. Trust me. I want to get out of this room even more than you do. But that's actually a pretty good question to lead into the next segment and get you some of the answers you're looking for. Now, we're plagued with a lot of production problems during the development of Wilderness, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. A lot of the complaints you've got here been from the full motion video parts of the game. I'll address those in due time. You wouldn't believe some of the shit we had to put up with. Oh. On Game Start, you create your avatar, your in-game persona, if you will. We wanted it to be so that kids could first try to create themselves. There's a lot of occupations, a lot of backgrounds, but just between you and me, none of them matter. Just like none of your backgrounds matter. In the end, we put them in to create a sense of attachment between the player and their characters. Since we can't really customize the look of the player too much, we rely on this to build a sense of feeling that it isn't just some nameless This is you. Now you'll be greeted by our actors, all FMV. We've got about 10, is that right? Yeah, 10 people the player can choose to bring with them. But they can only bring a total of 4, I think. Yeah, 4. We're already developing on strict deadlines, so imagine if we had to refilm the same scene for every possible combination of people. It would have been nearly impossible. You get some food, some clothes, and some tools for survival, and then you are told to explore. Now, one of the criticisms we got was that the land and wilderness looks entirely the same, and that's not the case. I can assure you there are at least 1 or 2 areas that look very, very different. But mostly we opted to have the land look similar to create a sense of loss and confusion. Now, it's very rare to encounter anything, whether animals or other travelers. Naturally, just moving uses the in-game food statistic. Over time, we wanted to have our actors grow more emaciated and more desperate looking. It was pretty rough convincing them to method act, if you will. Still, I think you can see the results. At first, the mood of the group is optimistic. You've got no destination, no plan, but you have food, tools, and friends. Then things start going sour. We've got in-game relationship counters between members of the group. Little things like who ate the most food last rest period, and who scored the big kill while hunting, what religion or ethnicity the character is. Don't look so shocked. These things make people fearful, hateful, envious. In our world, they make people kill. Pretending otherwise is a sort of compromise on quality we at Marginal would never take. You only get the most visceral, the most real from Marginal games. You remember that. Because your group does. My favorite part of the game is how you'll start to see your little group fragment in the camping scenes. 2 people on the right, 3 on the left. Suddenly everyone is off by themselves, haggard and without food. You haven't seen an animal for days, you're hungry, starving, you've run out of food. You really don't like, say, the guy immediately to your right, Bolotai. So what do you do, right? Of course, we had a lot of historical inspiration for some of the actions a player can choose to take, so I don't want any criticism from any of you. Speaking honestly again, you don't know what you're talking about. What? What would you say? You're a history teacher. I don't give a shit. Because you don't know what it is really like, what anything's like. So if you just kindly shut up until the presentation's over, yeah, that's better. Right. All right. Where was I? Problems. We had a lot of problems with the game. Accidents on set, for example. This one turned out to be a blessing in disguise, actually. Jed, one of our FMV crew, actually lost his arm in a filming accident. We got the footage, digitized the lost arm as a possible accident consequence scenario. Actually, the lost arm turns up all over the place. As an in-joke, one of the pranksters in our imagery department placed it in random locations around the map, hidden under the objects. The player will never see it, but they might recognize it subconsciously. See, we had a lot of trouble making sound effects that fit, but our sound director got this amazing buzzing sound. I have no clue what it was supposed to be. That plays whenever you mouse over the arm or a recently deceased group member, so the player associate would sit with death. And when they hear it, it's just randomly around the map. I wonder what they're thinking. The compression artifacts were the blood splatters, or make me laugh every time. We can never get rid of those. Jeez, lighten up. We got permission from Jed in the hospital to use the imagery. I don't got no idea what you're so fed up about. Sure, most of the staff walked off shortly after, claimed they were on strike, claimed they'd been working in abominable, subhuman conditions, treated like walking meat. But guess what? We didn't need them anymore. You take a look at the scared, frightened faces in Wilderness and you see the real world. Yeah, f*** you if you think we'll just take another lawsuit lying down. That's why I'm here, and if you can't see how f***ing brilliant my game is, then I'll rip out your face. We clear? Jeez. You're practically as ill-informed and doughy as a little you call your children. But what was the point? I'll tell you the point. We put the player in a position where they can't win. Where they have to be brutal, be real to survive. Look, any garbage you've been told about this company, anything you've been told about this, all of it, it's completely untrue. Nothing happens after you fail the game besides being told the details of your death and the actions of your party afterwards. There are no other levels, no other areas. There was a test version of Wilderness that was released to a few friends. A little joke, I guess. A little... with some of the cut FMV footage. But there's absolutely no way it's found a way to your educational copies. They must be lying. What do you mean you've seen proof? Anyway, I'm telling you there's absolutely no proof that it doesn't matter about the content in the brutal survival area because we cut it from the children's copy. And even if we did, they need to see it. They need to see it with their eyes open. No more questions. I've got nothing more to say. Well, that was interesting. Usually you get told these lost game files in the cliched manner we all know, but here it was done in the form of a PR presentation by who might possibly be the worst PR representative ever. Now, I hope it didn't come across as too cringy for this pasta of the month, but I figured considering the unique nature it was written, it had to have a little more feel put into there. And I hope you got that tense feeling I did when I first read it. Imagine being in the same room as this guy, just sitting in this entire, just this presentation, the feel you would get from this presenter. It's just really weird. Who thinks putting gore into their game as an Easter egg, distributing it against, friends would be a killer idea. Now, we've read stories like this before, but it's someone usually investigating the matter in their own hands. Here we get it explained perfectly from a PR representative on the game themselves. And it's great because instead of being told by someone who, say, only really investigates, not really uncovering almost everything, we get it all openly told. As far as the game goes, it seems like an early cross of, say, Minecraft and the Oregon Trail, but might I say, that would be really great. The game seemed as old school pixel point and click as possible, and in the heyday of FMV cutscenes, it just fit in well with the time period it was setting itself in. It was like opening some time capsule. And with the beautiful way it handled its dialogue and writing, it was just tapping in every sense, and that was amazing. It was like you were hearing, seeing, it was like you were really there. Now, as far as some gory stuff goes, poor Jed's arm got into the game, and it was showcased to a lot of kids in an educational title, and I feel like the PR representative had some hand in actually making that happen. There's no way this guy actually let that, go out of it. This guy purposely put it there, let's be honest. That's as far as what I'm gonna say. There's a lot of ways I guess you could interpret the whole thing. It's wonderfully played on the fear of parents and adults about violent content in video games, which still happens to this day, even more so. It also, again, really helps that our antagonist is a little out of his mind. And just the right amount, it's not like it's overly done, it's hamming it up all the way over there. I feel like some of the dialogue's a little, if it was just a little more street, if you will, it might have been a little better, but right now it was fine. It was good, and I really enjoyed it. Obviously, this person hates the reactions the parents have on their title, taking it even personally, and while combining it with their own sick mind, it was nearly perfect. It built up well, it was a perfect length, and overall, I think it was well deserving of a Pasta of the Month title. Truthfully told, it was really, really good. The first initial reading, it did in fact raise hairs on my neck. It was a good story, and I enjoyed it, and ultimately, I think it's well deserving of the title. But, as always, I do like to ask what you would think about the story. Please let me know in the comments section below. Tell me what you thought about it, what would you rate, and what would you change to make it better. This has been another episode of Haunted Gaming, and this has been a Pasta of the Month. I know I don't cover them as much, and I really should get on that because they are really, really good. These are great creepypastas, and I urge you all to go check this one out. Links in the description below. As always, links for creepypastas are always in the descriptions. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. This has been another episode of Haunted Gaming. I am out.